The Boy and His Sled Dog by Rudyard Kipling. The Young Ones. In a cold and snowy faraway place, there lived a little Inuit boy named Kukurin. Kukurin wanted to drive a sled so he could hunt and fish like the other older boys in his village. "I want to come with you," Kukurin said to a group of boys. "I can hunt and fish as well as you." The boys just laughed. "Father, I want to hunt and fish," said Kukurin. "Son," his father said, "you haven't much to learn if you want to become a great hunter. Here, this is for you." His father handed Kukurin a small puppy and a sled, just the right size for a boy. Kukurin's face lit up. "I will name him Dog," said Kukurin. "I will take care of him. I will teach him to be a best sled dog in the village." Kukurin put the pup on the sled and gave him a ride. Kukurin wanted the dog to know just what to do when it was his turn to pull the sled. Kukurin and the dog played hide and seek so the dog would learn to hunt. They played fetch so dog would learn to fish. At last the dog was ready. He could hunt and fish, and he could pull Kukurin's sled. "Father, watch me," Kukurin called. "Go, dog, go," he shouted. Dog began to run. Dog and sled went one way, Kukurin went the other. "Some great hunter," the older boys laughed. Chapter 2. The Big Storm. Soon after it began to snow. At first, snowflakes drifted down slowly from the sky. Then the flakes came faster and thicker until the whole village was covered in a frozen white blanket of snow. There were more snow than ever the villagers have ever seen. The snow covered all the houses and sheds. The villagers tried to free their sleds from the heavy ice and snow. "Pull," they shouted to the dogs. "Push," they yelled at each other. For many days they could not move the sleds and could not get out on the ice to fish. The villagers were very, very hungry. Chapter 3. The Grey Wolf. "I can fish, Father," Kukurin said. "My sled is light. The snow can't stop me." "It is too far for you and Dog to go alone," Father said. "Let me try, Father, or everyone in the village will starve," Kukurin said. Kukurin and the dog pushed through the snow. They needed to get the holes in the ice where they could fish. When they were halfway there, another snowstorm began. Kukurin and Dog spent a cold night in the cave, but they were not afraid. They had each other. The next morning, Kukurin and the dog woke up. The air was filled with blinding snow. Kukurin did not know which way to go. Just then, they both heard a loud, scary growl. "Wolf!" shouted Kukurin. The hair on Dog's back stood up on the end. Dog bared his teeth and gave a long, deep growl. "Dog, no, stay here!" Kukurin cried out. The wolf bared his teeth, but Dog did not budge. Dog stared at the wolf for a long, long time until the wolf finally backed down and turned away. Chapter 4. The Big Fish. Meanwhile, the sun came out and the snow stopped falling. Kukurin was able to see the path to the fishing holes in the ice. "Run, Dog!" Kukurin shouted as he jumped onto the sled. Before long, Kukurin and the dog were at the fishing holes. Kukurin dropped his fishing line down into the hole the way he had seen his father and the other boys do. After a short time, Kukurin felt a tug on the fishing line. "A fish!" Kukurin called out. The fish tugged harder and harder. It pulled and pulled against Kukurin's line. "Help me, Dog!" Kukurin cried. Kukurin and the dog tugged and pulled and tugged until "We have got him!" Kukurin shouted with glee. The big fish flopped onto the ice with a great big Plop! Quickerin and the dog returned to the village with a fish big enough to feed everyone. Hooray for Quickerin! The villagers shouted. Quickerin and dog were heroes, and from that day on, Quickerin was always asked to join for the hunting party. Easy Reader Classics feature illustrated stories chosen from beloved children's novel that are retold in simple writing style. Now even the youngest readers can enjoy many of the world's favorite tales. When a terrible snowstorm strikes, Quickerin knows it's up to him to save his village from going hungry, and so he sets off on a sled with his great dog for a great adventure. Illustrated by Nathan Hill, published by Sterling, New York, London Publishing. That's all about this book. See you in the next episode. Bye. Have a wonderful day ahead.